There's a trap many of us walk into, and that's the desire for approval. We want others to notice our progress, recognize our efforts, and agree with the decisions we've made. But here's the reality. The moment you rely on external praise, you hand over your strength. You let others decide how you feel about yourself. And that's a risky way to live, because the same people who cheer for you today might turn silent tomorrow. And if your self-worth depends on their applause, what happens when the applause fades? That's why one of the wisest things you can do is concentrate on yourself, not out of selfishness, but in a way that helps you grow a little more each day. When you become your own priority, you stop concerning yourself with what everyone else is up to. You stop chasing after those who don't value you. You stop justifying yourself to people who have no intention of truly understanding you. Instead, you turn that energy inward. It's easy to get swept up in other people's opinions. Maybe you have dreams you've carried for years, but you're hesitant to act because you're unsure how others will react. Maybe you're trying to better yourself, but each time you take a step forward, someone tries to tear it down with criticism. Let me tell you this, people will always have something to say. They will always carry opinions, but opinions won't keep the lights on. They won't put food on your plate, and they certainly don't define your value. The moment you choose to focus on your growth instead of their approval, you become unstoppable. You stop scanning the room to see who's watching. You stop sharing every step just to prove you're making progress. You stop living for the approval of those who wouldn't even notice if you were gone. Instead, you build discipline. You rise each morning and do the work, not for applause, not for recognition, but because you know it matters. There's a quiet strength in working without fanfare. When your eyes are fixed on your own journey, there's no need to broadcast every goal, every plan, every win. You just keep moving forward. You keep improving, and before long, the results will speak louder than any announcement ever could. The people who doubted you, they'll notice. The ones who didn't believe in you, they'll see it too. But by then, what they think won't matter, because you didn't do this for them. You did it for you. And let me tell you something else. When you sincerely turn your attention inward, you create a kind of calm that no one can disturb. You're no longer influenced by other people's opinions. You stop feeling the urge to justify your actions. You don't get pulled into pointless debates just to prove your value. You simply stand firm in your own strength, knowing that your worth doesn't diminish just because someone else fails to recognize it. So I want you to reflect on this. Are you living to please others, or are you living for yourself? Are your choices guided by your true desires, or are you molding yourself to fit someone else's version of who you should be? Because in the end, you're the one who has to live with the choices you've made. You're the one who must look yourself in the mirror and be proud of who's looking back. No one else can do that for you. It's time to stop asking for permission to be extraordinary. Stop waiting for someone to point out your potential before you take the first step. Stop needing people to applaud before you give yourself permission to believe in who you are. If you're ready to grow, then grow. If you want to turn your life around, do it. Don't waste one more day hoping someone else will give your dreams their stamp of approval. You are already enough, and the only validation you truly need is your own. Silence is one of the most overlooked powers a person can have. But in a world where everyone wants a platform, where people feel the urge to broadcast every thought, every action, every opinion, silence has become uncommon. We live in an age where if people aren't talking about their plans, they think it means nothing is happening. But the truth is, real strength doesn't come from speaking. It comes from doing. It comes from understanding when it's time to talk, and more importantly, when it's time to stay silent. There's something about silence that unsettles people. They confuse it with weakness, with doubt, with lack of self-assurance. But that couldn't be further from reality. Silence is a tactic. Silence is self-control. Silence is the wisdom to know that not everything must be shared. Not every move needs to be public. Not every opinion requires a reply. When you learn how to master your words, you begin to take command of your life. The problem is, people are drawn to noise. They crave drama. They seek attention. And too many end up falling into the trap of thinking they must explain themselves to everyone, prove their worth to people who don't even count, or react to every bit of negativity that comes their way. But let me remind you of something. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You're not required to prove yourself to anybody. The ones who genuinely care will notice your progress without you needing to say a single word. And those who don't, well, they were never really paying attention in the first place. There's a reason why the most accomplished individuals don't waste their time in online arguments. They don't pour energy into convincing people who are determined to misunderstand them. They don't feel the need to announce every move they make because they understand that true success is born in silence. It's formed in those quiet, unnoticed moments when no one's looking, when no one's cheering, when no one even knows what. That's when real growth takes root. Yet some of you are allowing the desire for validation to hold you back. You want others to notice what you're doing. You want recognition for the effort you're putting in. And when you don't get it, self-doubt starts to creep in. But here's the truth. Their validation isn't necessary for you to thrive. You don't have to share every step you're taking just to prove you're moving forward. The effort will speak loudest when the timing is right. Certain things in life deserve to be kept close. Your goals, your growth, your dreams. Not everyone should have access to your thoughts, your emotions, or your next steps. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is keep your journey private, because the minute you start revealing your plans, you invite opinions, skepticism, criticism, and distractions. And some of those voices may plant seeds of doubt before you even begin. Have you ever realized that the loudest people are often the ones achieving the least? That's because they spend their energy trying to convince others of their potential instead of proving it through action. But when you choose to move in silence, when you prioritize execution over explanation, you free yourself from that cycle. You stop needing others to believe in you. You stop craving applause. You simply do the work, and when you do it consistently, the results will be so clear that you won't need to say a word. See, when you master the discipline of silence, you become unpredictable. No one knows what you're working on. They can't disrupt your progress. They can't sabotage what they can't see. And that gives you an edge. Silence doesn't mean you're powerless. It doesn't mean you're scared. It means you recognize that talk alone won't lead to success. Action will. It shows you've learned that not every conflict deserves your energy. Not every comment needs a reply. And not every step you take needs to be announced. It means you have enough faith in yourself to believe that what's meant for you will arrive. One of the biggest pitfalls in life is comparison. It creeps in when you least expect it. You could be feeling confident, proud of how far you've come, and then suddenly you notice someone else is moving faster, achieving more, rising higher. And just like that, doubt slips in. You start second-guessing yourself if you're falling behind, if you're not good enough, if you should be doing more. But let me remind you, comparison is a distraction. And if you allow it, it will steal your focus, drain your energy, and rob you of your joy. Here's the truth. No two people walk the same path. You weren't built to live on someone else's timeline. You aren't meant to experience the same victories, the same struggles, or the same turning points as the person beside you. Still, so many waste time sizing themselves up against others instead of concentrating on their own growth. They see another person's success and start to feel like they're falling short. They notice what someone else has, and suddenly what they have no longer feels like enough. But the issue isn't that they're lacking, it's that they're looking the wrong way. When you spend your energy comparing, you take your eyes off your own progress. You stop recognizing how far you've come because you're too distracted by someone else's highlight reel. And let's be honest, people only show you what they want you to see. Social media makes it even harder. You don't see the sleepless nights, the setbacks, the doubts, the quiet battles. You're only seeing the polished result, the best angles, the filtered version, picture of a spiral outcome. And if you judge your behind the scenes by someone else's spotlight, you'll always feel like you're falling short. That's why you have to train your mind to stay locked in on your own journey. It doesn't matter what others are doing. It doesn't matter how quickly they're moving or how impressive their life looks. What matters is that you're growing, that you're making progress, that you're becoming a better version of yourself, one step at a time. Because when all is said and done, the only person you should be measuring yourself against is the one you were yesterday. Some of you are holding yourselves back because your attention is stuck on the wrong things. You're constantly glancing around, wondering who's ahead, who's behind, who's paying attention, but none of that truly matters. What others are doing has nothing to do with your personal journey. Your path is uniquely yours. And the moment you genuinely begin to focus inward, everything starts to shift. You stop feeling pressure to prove your worth. You stop chasing after things simply because someone else has them. You stop living according to someone else's version of success and begin shaping your own. But that requires discipline. It demands that you be thoughtful about how and where you invest your energy. It takes reminding yourself regularly that someone else's win doesn't equal your loss. Life is not a competition. There's no set schedule for success. You're not behind. You're not too late. You are right where you're supposed to be. Think of it this way. When runners are on the track, the moment they glance to the side to see who's catching up, they lose speed, their form falters, their focus breaks. Why? Because they stopped running their own race and started worrying about someone else's. That's exactly what happens when you let comparison take control. Your progress slows. You lose momentum. You begin making decisions based on what others are doing rather than what's truly best for you. But when you stay focused in your lane, when your eyes stay forward and your mind stays clear, you move differently. You stop letting outside noise control your pace. You begin trusting that what's meant for you will arrive at the right time. You begin to realize that success isn't about being first, it's about staying consistent. So today I'm asking you to make a choice to stop looking around and start looking inward. A choice to stop comparing yourself to others and begin comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. Because when the day is done, the only race that truly counts is the one between you and your own potential. And if you can honestly say, I'm better than I was yesterday, then you're already winning. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. And yet far too many people waste it on things that don't matter. They pour it into arguments that go nowhere, into proving themselves to people who don't genuinely care, into holding on to baggage that should have been released long ago. But once you truly grasp how valuable your energy is, you begin to protect it. You stop hanging it out so freely. You become deliberate about where it flows, who is allowed access to it, and what you let occupy your mind. Not everything is worth your focus. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every situation deserves your involvement. Some of you are feeling drained. Not because you're chasing your goals, but because you're spending too much time caught up in things that don't align with your purpose. You allow small distractions to pull you off course. You let negativity enter your space when it should have been shut out. You engage in conversations that wear you down instead of lifting you up. And then you wonder why you feel stuck, why it seems like you're going in circles. It's not because you lack ability, it's because you're using your energy in all the wrong directions. The truth is, not everyone should have access to you. Just because someone demands your attention doesn't mean you have to offer it. Just because someone questions your decisions doesn't mean you owe them an answer. You don't have to justify the way you choose to live your life. Some matters are better handled quietly. Some conflicts aren't worth your time. Some people exist solely to distract you, to challenge you, to lead you off course. And if you're not mindful, you'll spend more time managing them than building yourself up. There's a clear line between being busy and being effective. Some folks stay constantly occupied, but they're not really progressing. They're wrapped up in the noise, always entangled in drama, always reacting to every little disruption. But when the day ends, they've got nothing meaningful to show. No real movement, no peace, no transformation. That's because they never learned how to guard their energy. They allowed too many things to drain them, and by the time they return to their own ambitions, there's nothing left to give. But everything shifts when you begin choosing more carefully. When you decide where your energy actually belongs. You stop giving time to pointless distractions. You stop letting people drag you into their storms. You stop explaining yourself to those who never truly cared to understand you in the first place. You begin to move differently. You begin to protect your space. And most importantly, you begin to make real, lasting progress. People will always have opinions. They'll always have something to say about your choices, your path, your potential. But their opinions don't shape your truth. Their voices don't set the course of your life. And the moment you truly accept that, you break free. You stop wasting energy trying to change their views. You stop working to prove your value to those who were never listening. You stop handing over your strength to things that don't nurture your growth. Instead, you bring your energy back to where it belongs. On your development, on your healing, on the steps that actually move you forward. You start investing your time into your peace, your purpose. You stop reacting to every little thing and start responding only to what truly matters. You build a kind of discipline that keeps you grounded no matter what chaos is happening around you. And let me tell you something, once you start living that way, people will take notice. At first, they may not get it. They may question why you've gone quiet, why you don't argue, why you no longer explain yourself. But eventually, they'll see it. They'll see your growth. They'll witness your calm. They'll recognize the results that show up when you stop wasting your energy and begin channeling it with purpose. Buddy, from this moment on, I want you to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it absolutely does. Be deliberate, be thoughtful, and above all, be focused. Because once you master the art of protecting your energy, there's nothing and no one that can stand in the way of the person you're becoming. Many people desire success, but not everyone is willing to remain consistent. They get fired up about a new dream, a new direction, a fresh vision for their life. But once the initial excitement fades, so does their effort. They kick things off with enthusiasm, but the moment the journey gets tough, the moment progress doesn't come as quickly as they hoped, they begin to slow down. They start searching for shortcuts, for quick fixes, for the easy route. But lasting success isn't built through occasional effort. It's created by showing up every single day, even when nobody's watching, even when no one is applauding, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. The ones who truly succeed in life aren't the loudest in the room. They're not the ones making grand announcements or telling the world what they plan to do. They're the quiet workers, the ones who stay committed to the journey even when it gets hard. The ones who show up for themselves every day without needing applause, because they've learned that consistency is the real key. It's not about dramatic leaps. It's about steady, intentional steps repeated over and over again. Still, too many people chase results without putting in the discipline. They want victory without effort. They want the prize without the process. And when things don't unfold quickly enough, they start making excuses. They blame their situation, blame the people around them, blame everything but themselves. But here's the truth. Success doesn't work that way. You can't skip the grind. You can't avoid the effort. You either stay consistent or you stay where you are. Think about it. How many times have you watched someone begin with full energy and drive only to give up a few weeks later? How often have you started something yourself only to let it fade once life got busy? That's the line that separates those who succeed from those who don't. The ones who win don't rely on fleeting motivation. Some of you are sitting on dreams that could completely transform your life, but you're holding back, waiting for the ideal timing, the right feeling, the perfect conditions. You tell yourself you'll begin tomorrow, next week, or when things settle down. But deep down, you already know there's no such thing as the perfect moment. There's only right now. And if you're not willing to be consistent in the present, the future you want will stay out of reach. You have to move quietly. Stop broadcasting every intention, every target, every little step. Stop needing someone's approval before you've even started. Just get to work. Because when you say too much, you leave space for others to insert doubt. You open the door to distractions. You begin seeking permission instead of staying focused on execution. But when you operate in silence, when you stay centered on your goals, no one can derail your progress. Let me tell you something. People will see your outcomes before they ever recognize your effort. That's just how life goes. They won't notice the sleepless nights, the early wake-ups, the sacrifices you've made. They won't see the moments you felt like giving up. But one day, when your results begin to shine, when your consistency finally starts to pay off, they'll be amazed. They'll assume it happened suddenly. They won't understand that it was the quiet effort, the work done behind the scenes that made all the difference. That's why it's so important to remain consistent, even when it feels like no one notices, even when it seems like nobody cares. Because here's the truth, the process will always challenge you before it rewards you. It will demand to know how badly you really want it. It will test your will when walking away would be easier. And if you can remain consistent through the tough days, through the moments when everything feels stuck, through the storms of doubt, then success becomes unavoidable. So whatever you're working on, whatever ambition, whatever dream, stay steady. Keep progressing quietly. Keep showing up even on the hard days, because eventually the effort you're making today will speak volumes. and you won't need to say a word. Those people don't realize just how much noise fills their lives every day. Noise from opinions, from distractions, from worry, from meaningless conversations. And if you're not careful, that noise can silence your own inner voice. It can scatter your focus until you forget why you even began. That's why at some point you must turn it all off. You have to consciously block out the clutter, distance yourself from anything or anyone that only slows you down. Because if you don't, you'll spend your entire life reacting instead of building, listening instead of leading, following instead of creating. The truth is, not everyone is supposed to understand your journey. Not everyone will cheer for you. Some won't believe in your potential. Some will doubt you. Some may even try to discourage you, not because they truly care, but because they lack the courage to do what you're doing. When they see you evolving, when they witness you stepping beyond the limits they've settled for, it shakes them, it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to face their own choices. And instead of rising to meet you, they'll try to pull you back down. But that's not your responsibility. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't need anyone's blessing to become the person you were created to be. Some of you are carrying the weight of other people's expectations, their doubts, their fears, and it's holding you back. You're hesitating, overanalyzing, second-guessing yourself because you're too caught up in what others might think. But let me tell you something. Their opinions don't matter. They won't be the ones living with the outcome of your choices. You will. And if you spend your life trying to make everyone else comfortable, you'll never step fully into the greatness that belongs to you. That's why it's essential to learn how to move quietly to protect your vision, to stop letting outside opinions steer your path. Because as you begin to rise, so will the distractions. The more you develop, the more people will feel entitled to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. If you give those voices too much space, you'll find yourself adjusting your direction to meet their expectations instead of staying aligned with your purpose. But the people who truly thrive in life, the ones who unlock their fullest potential, they understand something many never grasp. They know that silence holds strength, that self-discipline outweighs applause, and that real focus requires eliminating the unnecessary noise. They understand that success doesn't rely on being validated by others, so they keep pressing on even when no one else sees what they're building. Some of you have dreams so massive they intimidate you, and because they feel overwhelming, you look for reassurance. You want someone to confirm that you're headed the right way. You wait for validation before making your next move. But let me ask you this, if the people around you can't envision what you do, if they don't share your belief, what happens when that approval never comes? Do you give up? Do you shrink your dream to fit their limited outlook? Or do you keep pushing forward even if you're walking alone? You can't afford to pause for validation. You can't afford to slow your pace just because others don't understand your mission yet. You have to be willing to advance even in quiet, even in doubt, even when you're the only one who believes in it, because belief begins with you. No one else will treat your dream seriously until you do. No one will buy into your vision until you fully commit to it first. And the more dependent you are on others for approval, the more unstable your foundation becomes. That's why it's crucial to be mindful of what and who you allow into your mental space. If you surround yourself with people who hesitate, who doubt, who always expect the worst, that energy will start to influence you. But if you choose to be around discipline, around clarity, around the kind of stillness that fosters growth, you'll carry yourself differently. You'll walk with a steady confidence that needs no explanation. At the end of the day, your life is yours to own. Your success, your evolution, your inner peace, it all hinges on the decisions you make. And one of the most powerful decisions you can ever make is to silence the noise. Stop chasing approval and walk with purpose. Because once you do, nothing and no one can hold you back. When it's all said and done, your path belongs only to you. The opinions, the distractions, the comparisons, they don't matter. What matters is your ability to stay focused, to stay grounded, and to keep progressing, even when no one else understands your path. We live in a world full of constant noise, but the people who rise above it are the ones who learn to be quiet, to safeguard their energy, and to keep working behind the scenes until their success becomes undeniable. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need validation to achieve greatness. What you need is consistency, inner strength, and the courage to keep showing up even when the rewards haven't arrived yet. So stop looking outward. Stop trying to explain your journey. Stop waiting for permission. Focus inward. Move with quiet determination. Because when you do, your progress will be undeniable, and one day the world will have no choice but to recognize the person you've become.